set?
We're live.
Okay, we're live?
We're live.
All right. I hear chattering in the background. Yes, I do. We love a studio audience. We got one tonight. Anyway, so hi guys. It's Kordonaski, publisher of Yankee News, coming to you from the world-famous Parkway Diner on this Monday, April 28th, the year of our Lord 2025. And me, oh my. Well, first of all, before I start, tonight's a special night because we are celebrating the full and healthy recovery of our friend Rebecca Flood, who's sitting over there. That's right. And it's good to see her back on her feet after she broke her wrist and her hip. It was back in February, was it? Yes. Yeah, back in February. So, you know, physical therapy was a bit, but she got it done. So she and her friends are back there celebrating, and I hope to celebrate soon too. So, where to start? Oh my goodness, where to start? You know what? I want to start with something Alan just told me. This is priceless. So, Alan, you said it was Stephen Miller. You know, Stephen Miller, the erstwhile, what should we call, policy director for President Trump?
Attorney.
Well, no, he's a policy director.
Okay.
That's his title. But he pointed out that our fine Senator Chris Murphy is guilty of what again?
Alan?
Being one of the far leftist enablers.
Yes.
Responsible for the death of Laken Riley.
There you go. How do you like them apples? Okay. So the point is, if we were to look back into the record of Senator Murphy's commentary, we'd discover some things that he said that could easily be interpreted as encouraging. Is that the right word I should use? He says enabling, I say encouraging.
Enabling.
Yes, or yes. But enabling is the official word that would have contributed to the demise of Laken Riley. So, you know what, Senator Murphy? We await your rebuttal. We really want to hear it. Okay. Meantime, the problem with Senator Murphy is the same problem with a group of people I need to talk about tonight. Could you please hold up the graphic, Eric?
Yeah.
Yes. We have to talk tonight about, yes, that one. Programmable Democrats. Yes, we have discovered that there are, in fact, programmable Democrats, and lots of them. So let's be puzzled for a moment. There he was, not a year ago, the hero. The hero. Electric vehicles, the Green New Deal, okay? Neuralink, the Starlink satellites, SpaceX. This man was amazing. He was the hero of the liberal wing of America until he got mixed up with the wrong people. And then all of a sudden, see, here's the thing. Let me just make the point. It's January, and Doge kicks off. People get upset, but nothing's really happened. Now it's February, and things, maybe a little upset. But then all of a sudden, in March, what happened? All of a sudden, like angry fire ants, you had all these liberals coming out keying Teslas, Molotov cocktails, bombing Tesla dealerships, destroying charging stations. What the? How? Why? What? Huh? Okay, so how did so many people get so mad so quickly? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The word is programmable. All right? How do you go from admiring somebody to, in short order, hating them so much you have to destroy his property and seek to kill him? What does that take? Okay? So we're left with a puzzle there. And another way of looking at this is if we remember, people often say, you know, Democrats, boy, they were very different back in the 1960s, right? The Democrats of the 1960s and J.F. Kennedy, nothing like they are today. There was clearly this change that took place. So what was wrong with being a Democrat of the 1960s that would be so unacceptable to Democrats today? I don't know. Seems a little odd to me. So yeah, you have a group of people changing the narrative or moving, you've probably heard of the Overton window, right? Shifting the center point of the debate, left, left, left. But then you arrive at something like this where, what? you can take a few messages and alter the behavior of otherwise, quote, average citizens and make them violent? I don't understand, okay? So I'm only left with one word, programmable, okay? Somebody is able to easily access the mental functioning of these people such that those messages cause them to become violent. Programmable. Anyway, I have a whole essay on it. Check it out, and you can look at it later. Okay, there's so many things on people's minds. All right, we need to talk about tariffs. We'll get to that. We need to talk about Ukraine and Russia. We're going to talk about that too. Now, there's an article I'm working on, the title of which is Which Putin? Okay, we have seen Putin blow hot and cold on these negotiations, but guess what? We've seen Trump blow hot and cold too. So this looks like a negotiating tactic between these two parties. Meantime, Zelensky is just being stupid. I don't know how else to characterize him. But then again, I mean, I have to throw in another point.
He's being gay.
Now, come on, that's not nice. If we're being honest, you have a situation where Russia is confronted with what really amounts to an existential threat on many levels. At the same time, this is an existential threat for Ukraine as well. So, what's at stake for both of them is extremely high. So you have to expect behavior that's not going to necessarily be rational in the ordinary sense, all right? So, in any event, I want to make this point about Putin. First of all, one of the links I put up is a guy named Peter Zeihan, geopolitical economist, really like him a lot. And I grabbed this one that's actually a year ago where he talks about the Russian Navy. Now, he's describing how the Ukrainians have really caused some serious damage to the Russian Navy. But then Peter Zeihan made another interesting point that is worth considering. Is when you look at the Baltic Sea in particular, okay, the best the Russians can do is a port in this little strip of land called Kaliningrad, okay, next to, I want to say Lithuania, Latvia, along the states. That's all they have as far as a naval port is concerned on the Baltic Sea. Okay, well, whatever they do, guess what? As soon as they hit those waters and they're moving around, they're surrounded by NATO nations. The Baltic Sea is a NATO pond, all right? So how do you think the Russians feel about that, all right? You can see how they would feel rather hemmed in terms of any kind of military strategy they would have to put together, all right? In the meantime, down in the Black Sea, you've had them pushed back further and further, so their zone of operation for the Navy becomes less and less. It's, if you were in this position, I think you too would be feeling some pressure, just saying, all right? So all of that said, the other point that Peter Zeihan made, all right, let's put it this way. I need to use a fancy term, forgive me, defensible borders, okay? Russia's defensible borders. There are 7 choke points in the massive geography of Russia that dictate what military strategy they must consider if they're going to protect their homeland. They've lost control of, I believe it's at least 3 or 4 of those 7 choke points. And the current borderlines with the conflict with Ukraine are for Putin not favorable, not favorable. So again, I emphasize that Russia is confronted with what amounts to an existential threat. They're in a bad position. So you can be sure that Putin is not exactly happy with whatever negotiating ploy he has to make. So what does he do? We shouldn't be surprised. He says, I want Crimea, right? I want to hold those lines. I wouldn't be surprised if he demands more territory, all right? So this is, it's whatever agreements are made. We keep hearing President Trump saying, yeah, we're getting close, but maybe we're not getting so close. And then it doesn't help, okay, when you have Germany saying, oh, Trump is going too far. He's giving too much away to Russia. Personally, and how I feel about it, if you're asking me, I kind of agree. They are giving away too much to Russia. But what are you going to do? Okay, what are you going to do? And I'm waiting for the answer. So I'll leave it at that for now with Putin and the negotiations. So I'll go out on a limb. All right, so there was just the announcement of another 72-hour ceasefire that Putin's called for. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, let's set that aside. Now we're going to move on to India and Pakistan. Now, they haven't been very nice to each other for a very long time, and that's putting it mildly. This recent terrorist attack, which was, it's called the Kashmir Front, I think, or group. It's seen as a cover organization for well-known terrorist groups that have been functioning in the Kashmir region for some time. So India's just looking at this and saying this is just more of the same old, as far as the struggle with the Kashmir province is concerned. So, I mean, it doesn't help when you have people say, oh my goodness, this could escalate. Oh my goodness, they both have nuclear weapons. Oh my goodness, this could be the start of World War III. Will it? I don't think so, okay? But it's of concern. No, Senator, Secretary of State Rubio's had to get on the phone and talk to them, try and talk them down. Nonetheless, I think there's a sense also that this is something to watch because it could blow up. So I just had to bring it up, all right? Meantime, we do have a couple of new things we're going to offer up for folks. First, there is what we call FAFO Watch. Anybody know what FAFO is? F-A-F-O? Yes. Yes, okay. So all we're going to say is that enough things are going on where you have people who are doing things that are quite frankly stupid, all right? Any guesses as to who I might be talking about tonight? Yes. Some purses are not worth stealing. Just saying. Okay? So this, I don't know if you read the details, but suppose this guy had cased the joint, he saw the table, he saw the purse, and what he did was, with his foot, he snaked the loop of the purse and kind of made off with it. I think he was dumb enough to not know whose purse he took, so when he was looking in the wallet, he wouldn't have recognized her face. But now he knows her face. Okay, and then we later found out there was an accomplice. So there's a point I just want to make about this, all right? Aside from the sheer stupidity and the bad luck of this guy, is that it is, to me, indicative. It is a sign. It is an example, all right, of how bad it has gotten, all right? That 10 million illegals came into this country under Biden, and some number of them are criminals. You should not be surprised that something like this would happen, all right? So now it's the fight to get these people out of there, and we can expect more weird stuff like this along the way. Now, I don't know. If you've been following it, you know full well that you have all these liberal judges who've been fighting President Trump every step of the way with their injunctions. Okay, all right. I would like to think there are limits to this. What's the good answer here? You see, the Department of Justice came out with this directive for ICE that basically said, just go ahead and arrest these people, all right? Now, in the article, I should point out there is another qualifying phrase where the Department of Justice says, yeah, arrest them, but you know what? Why don't you check on their status, check on whether or not they have a criminal record, all right? And just make sure you're doing it right, okay? And so there is this trade-off. We're in a hurry to get these people out of here, yet we've got to check everything carefully.
How can somebody who's here illegally not have a criminal record? They've committed at least one illegal act.
Say again?
How can somebody who's here illegally not have a criminal record?
Right, okay, understood.
That's like
Understood.
saying, well, we were gonna arrest Billy the Kid, but he'd only robbed one bank. We have to give him a chance to rob another bank.
Yes, I think that would relate to one of the next stories I'll be covering. Yes, so here's the thing. Some of you may remember that charming woman who's a representative of Congress named Maxine Waters, the one where the wig keeps falling off, that girl. She is famous for a scene where she's standing out in the street several years ago telling everybody, if you see a Republican in the street, tell him he's not welcome go to the gas stations, go to the restaurants, go to the... It's a terrible act. I cannot imitate her. She's beyond imitation.
That's good, yeah.
Okay, but we remember that, okay? And they said, you know what, this is a little over the top, all right? This is a little much when you're asking the public to just harass Republicans wherever you find them. Well, guess what? Here we go again. Just when you thought they would figure things out. So Jasmine Crockett is responsible for this. Then there's a Delia Ramirez, who's a Democrat representative from Illinois. And they're both telling people to harass Republicans everywhere they go. Now, seriously, is that just to make you feel better? I mean, is it going to build support? Are more people going to vote for you because you're harassing Republicans? I am not so sure about that, okay? And then you have people like, it says here, Jackson Potter, Vice President of the Chicago Teachers Union, thinking it's great to do these things. Yeah, I don't think so. And behind this, they're talking about swearing and cussing more. Swearing and cussing more? Is that a political strategy? Is that how you build a narrative? Is that how you articulate ideas and people will support you? Swear and cuss more? I don't think so, but that's what they want to do. So go for it. Okay. For people who love, what was that world? I'm trying to remember, what is it? Conor McGregor is with what group again?
Ireland.
Not, well, he's running for president.
Oh, you mean the MMA group?
Yes, MMA group. So he's an MMA fighter, incredible fighter. I think he's only lost once or twice. In any event, he's decided to run for president of Ireland. Yeah. Well, this is going to be interesting. So I'm just trying to see if there was a choice quote here. You see, it's not clear how this is going to work because it's the government who's ruining Ireland, just like it's been happening in America under Biden. So now you've got Conor McGregor stepping up and trying to fight what's going on here. We have a similar situation in the UK. I feel like everything's hanging in the balance right now, and I have no idea what's going to happen next, okay? It could lead to victory. It could lead to chaos. There could be civil war. I don't know.
The real interesting thing will be if Conor McGregor knows the answer to the classic math question of 26 plus 6 equals what?
26?
No, 26 plus 6.
Oh, yeah, 32, yes.
No, it equals 1.
What? Huh?
And if Conor McGregor knows the correct answer,
Yes.
then he'll be an ally.
All right.
26 counties.
Alan is very good at asking trick questions. It's one of his specialties.
There are 26 counties in one of the nations that claims to be called Ireland,
Oh.
and there are 6 in the other.
Oh, I see.
And when Ireland is united with no king,
Yes,
just like America is united with no king,
I see. Interesting.
then we will truly have the Republic of Ireland.
And that's his policy? I mean, that's his
I don't know. We
campaign?
don't know what his answer is.
All right, we'll see. Okay, in the meantime, you know, we've been following the situation with Tina Peters in Colorado. Here's this older woman who's still in prison. And, yeah, we'll get to that. Still in prison. So now what's interesting is that Pam Bondi, to her credit, has made what is considered an unprecedented move. You have the officials in Colorado going, oh, wait a second, we've never had the federal government show up in the state courthouses with stuff like this, expressing, quote, an interest in her case, an interest in whether or not she's been prosecuted politically. So there is a lot of game playing here, and I'm taking this from an article that is from the Associated Press. So you have to immediately recognize the inherent bias. The position of the article is simply that the Department of Justice has not made their case with respect to the whether or not there has been prejudice in how she was prosecuted. Yes. But I think we're going to find out there's more to this than meets the eye. All right. So this is, again, yet another move, yet another gambit on the part of the state of Colorado. And they'll be back. Don't worry about it. I think Pam will be back with more. And I got to point out, I've been critical of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. I'm still not happy. I'm sorry, Pam, I'm going to let you know. I have reserved for you, I haven't brought it in tonight, but I have reserved for you a doghouse, okay? And at some point I may feel the need to have you in this doghouse, all right? But I'm not ready to do it yet. I'm being patient. Okay, so much for that. Now I want to move on to another thing I've discovered, which I think is a great opportunity. All right, yeah, let's throw it up there. So let me just take a minute here. So we've talked, we had a series, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, Connecticut, I'll have a communism with Connecticut characteristics, which is a snide reference to how China has described itself as a communist country, where they said, we have communism with Chinese characteristics. Okay, well, Connecticut has communism with Connecticut characteristics, which I would describe as a soft communism. And there are reasons for stating that. Now, I want to point out that we did spend a couple of years, every week we had Connecticut Commie of the Week. And we just were, reporting on all the individuals who had one kind of affiliation with the Communist Party or another. So Rosa DeLauro, she's about as close as you can come to an open communist. Jim Himes with his connection with the Sandinistas. Jonna Hayes working with other people with communist affiliations. Chris Murphy having people around him who are card-carrying communists. It just goes on. And then the time when our U.S. Senator Blumenthal was caught at a Communist Awards event, the, what was it called? The Amistad Awards. And he had to say, oh, I thought it was a labor event. No, sorry, you're not fooling us.
You're a communist.
Yes. And there was also the state senator, last name I think was Parker, a woman. She was there too, but she managed to get by on that whole thing. So communist influence in Connecticut is a lot greater than people realize, but it's all under the radar. It's a little hard to see, but when you start digging, like, wait, who's this person? What's he doing? And I just want to add, by the way, just to really color this for you, that the Connecticut Communist Party headquarters in New Haven, okay, is home to the finance director for the American Communist Party. Just saying. Just saying. All right. Now, and this. What?
Cultural appropriation. I
Yes.
would add that for the Communist Party to host the Amistad Awards
Yes.
is a little weird, considering that I remember learning in school about the Amistad.
Okay.
And how those slaves took over the ship and sailed to Russia because they wanted to be part of a communist country.
Well, they
That's
didn't know
right,
that.
They didn't.
That's right.
They came here for freedom.
Yes. Well, but it's not seen that way. It's seen as, here you have a bunch of slaves trying to escape slavery. To them, that's the metaphor for what communists are all about, right? Escaping oppression. Right?
And trading it
That's,
for new oppression.
well, yeah, well,
Farmers
that's
bad,
the
pigs
truth.
good.
Yeah. No, part of the problem, and we're digressing here, I didn't mean to go down this path, but the problem is that we have become soft. Here you go. Don't I sound like a John Bircher?
Yeah.
We have
Well,
become
don't forget
soft.
about Aaron Stewart.
Yes, oh God. Do I have to talk about her?
Not really.
Okay, I'd rather not. Aaron Stewart, don't vote for her for governor, okay? There, that's my comment. I mean, you've never seen a bigger, Republicans can be political chameleons too, okay? And she's one of them. So, okay. Our new series now is the Liberal Dumbass of the Week Award. And so the Liberal Dumbass of the Week Award goes to, drum roll please. Oh, all right, good. Mary Moriarty, the county attorney in Hennepin County in Minnesota.
Mr. Moriarty Har.
Yeah, I don't know. What kind of, I'm not sure what that impression would be for her because I never heard her speak. But yes, so here's the game. Okay, the game is this. She wants to issue directives instructing, was it prosecutors? Might be prosecutors and judges to consider each case before them especially if it's a person of color, on racial grounds. But oh no, wait, we can't do that. That's right, don't we have some laws relating to the Constitution about not discriminating on the basis of race, color, creed, religion?
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, I think we've got that law somewhere. So what is she? Okay,
We're
so
allowed to discriminate.
yeah, exactly. So what is she doing? Avoiding constitutional guidelines and trying to use race in order to determine the sentencing guidelines for somebody. Okay, I'm calling this, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this is stupid, all right? You're obviously violating the Constitution, and you try to pull this off. This is just, what a piece of work, okay? So she's the winner of the Liberal Dumbass of the Week award. However, we have a runner-up, okay? And I'm trying to find where I put the runner-up. Where'd the runner-up go? Here we go. It is. Oh yes, so Axios. Does anybody here read Axios at all? So Axios is a liberal website, and what they did was they took the case of Judge Dugan in Wisconsin, who had been arrested for
Aiding and abetting.
the hiding of an illegal alien. Okay, so it's flagrant. It couldn't be more flagrant. So in the runner-up category, Axios had written an article that tries to avoid everything. So, and it really, I need to bring this up because it captures pretty much everything that the liberals try to do when they're saying, oh, what you're doing isn't important. Nah, you're really being harmful. It's the misuse of the phrase political opponent. We're just going after political opponents. No, we're not going after political opponents. We're going after people who, I know, hard to believe, break the law. Yes, break the law. That's what we're after.
That was a song.
Yeah, okay. And then taking up the rear for the Liberal Dumbass of the Week award is good old Uncle Bernie Sanders.
To Mr. Seltzer man.
Right.
Seltzer.
Yes.
Do you have an impression?
Of Bernie. Oh, Bernie. Oh.
We're going to talk. I've told you two or three times.
He's got a better one than me. Yeah.
No.
That's good. Yes, he is good. All right, we're going to break form here just for a minute. I'm sorry, what was the name of that judge? So you have not really been paying attention to the facts of the case.
Bremerton.
Bremerton, yes, Judge Bremerton.
Yeah, we haven't brought.
Have you heard Judge Bremerton?
No, I like the impression.
Okay, well, I'm doing his impression of Judge Bremerton.
Yeah, it's a fictitious character that was created about 30 years ago.
Yes, but go ahead. 5 seconds. Do 5 seconds. All right, 10 seconds.
I can't.
All right.
I'm not in that frame of mind.
All right, yeah, it's great though. It is great. Talk about impressions. So, okay, so taking up the rear, good old Bernie saying the Democrats lack vision. Bernie, it's not just about lacking vision. You haven't been paying attention, okay? And the part that really gets me in the article where he's talking about their lack of vision is this, where he says, oh, I'll try for it. Hey, how are we going to provide a decent standard of living for a younger generation where everything being equal be poorer than their parents? Okay, Bernie, I know it's a little complicated, but we have this little thing. It's called the national debt. It has a negative impact on the earning power of the average man and woman, okay? It's out of control in this country. So there is a connection between the higher that debt goes and the more impact there is on the earning power, not only this generation, but future generations. So Bernie, if you don't understand that, vision, and there is no vision, all right? There's nothing to understand. And then to talk about this, you know, this is just boilerplate, liberal tripe, T-R-I-P-E, tripe, I'm telling you. Anyway, of course,
Amen.
I want to save the best for last. All right, now she's an acquaintance. I've seen her every so often. Anybody here know Naomi Wolf? Any Naomi Wolf fans? Okay, so she did a piece here in her Substack about Lady McBiden. Okay, and she's very careful in her writing. She wants to make sure that she's not impugning Lady McBiden in any way, suggesting any kind of guilt, but she does feel there's a need to talk at length about the relationship between her and what happened on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. Okay, so first we'll hang out the big one, okay? Quiz question, can anybody tell me who hired the Cheadle babe to be the director of the Secret Service?
Officially or unofficially?
Unofficially, who hired her?
And that would be the esteemed medical professional of Dr. Joe Biden.
That's correct, Lady McBiden. Yes, she hired the Secret Service director, who was caught square in the middle of all the crap that went on that day. Okay, so the main point that Naomi makes here, and she kind of draws on her husband who has been involved in counterintelligence, military intelligence and stuff, and he said, when you have Secret Service people taking all the necessary steps to prepare for an event like this, no detail is overlooked. Everything is standard operating procedure. They are absolutely rigid in how the execution of every single thing. That anybody would miss any part of this? Inconceivable. All right? However, there are a number of places where we saw them screw up. The placement of the 3rd sniper team that was never there, for example. And then there were other parts in how they prepared for it. And I'll tell you, after having gone through this, here's my problem. This is my big problem with this whole discussion. It's one word. Communication. Communication. What did you say? What? Oh, yeah, okay. All right. You had probably, and Alan needs to comment on this, probably had more than one communication network that day, right? Okay? So, on the one hand, here you have Naomi and her husband Brian saying, there's no way they could have screwed this up. If you have more than one communication system, I'd say the opportunity for screw up is profound. Or would you disagree with that? Okay, so here's the thing, all right, and I'll get to the conspiracy theory part of this because it's the best. It's the best. I talked about it a few weeks ago. Okay, I don't know if anybody saw it. So you have the network of communication for the Secret Service. They're all checking in with each other. There's a hierarchy, right? You've got the boss, then you got the sort of the field commanders, and they're checking out with the people on the ground. So that whole thing, that's that network right there. Meantime, outside the loop of that network, we have the police. Now, were they integrated into this or not?
Maybe, maybe not. Probably
Okay,
not.
probably not. Okay.
At least not technologically. They might have had a live person sitting there going, what? Okay.
Yeah,
What?
okay.
What? Okay.
Yeah. So my question is, could they have had a second Secret Service communication network? Different frequency, different codes, different protocols for communication. Think that's possible? Okay, we'll just consider the possibility. So let me end this whole thing with a recitation of what I talked about a couple weeks ago. It is so much fun. There's a gentleman who, I wish I could remember his name, was Wolf Finance is the channel. He pulled together a compilation, a review, and an update of all the events around July 13th in Butler, PA. All the things that he pulled out, reviewing who shot, what they shot with, angle of shot, who got hurt, what was possible, what was not possible, was about a 30-second clip from ABC News that we never really saw. Okay? It's shocking. I can guarantee it is shocking. When you see it, and I'll make sure I get the link out and get it to as many people as I can. Okay, here's the problem. It's that, let's say 30 seconds, 15, 30 seconds right after the shots were fired, okay? Secret Service are all around the president. They're shuffling him in there. They get him into the car. They're standing around. What's going on? Okay, this camera angle shows the following. There's a gentleman. Boy, it sure looks like he's dressed in one of those National Guard uniforms, okay? And he's got a rifle, okay? He's kind of fumbling, he's looking around, and then all of a sudden, it's like, what? Oh, okay. He takes the gun, raises it, and points it right at the president in the car. Okay? Wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? The amazing part, and this is why I think there are two channels of communication, is that all of a sudden, it's like he heard something and he stopped. So he was about ready to do something, and then he got a countermanding order that told him, don't do it. So he put the rifle down. Two other Secret Service agents came running over to him and just basically said, get out, run, go, go, go. Not stand there, not do something to help protect the president. No, leave, get out of here. What's that all about? Okay, we just have questions, I know. All right, so you look at this information, and I have to think to myself, if you find that gentleman acting so peculiarly that he's ready to do one thing in 1 second and another thing in another second, the possibility that there were two channels of communication is something that we should consider. That's all I'm saying as far as that's concerned. And oh, the bonus, I got to give you the bonus. So I couldn't see it the second time. So here's the limo like this. Okay, there's the front of the limo. There's the guy who was aiming at the president with the rifle with the National Guard uniform, like this. Okay, but then over here, there was another guy. He was bald, clearly Secret Service. And he's looking out. He points at a guy, and at some point he does this. Does anybody know what that is? That's Army talk for hold, stop. Okay, the other guy was just told run, get away. Somebody else was told stop or hold. What the hell is going on here? All right, we don't have an explanation, okay? We have a video clip. You get to watch it and decide for yourself. What does this all mean? What does this signify? I'm the first to admit that there are other ways to interpret this, okay? Not my interpretation. But nonetheless, I would like to believe mine is kind of coherent. Okay, so yes, there's a lot still to be learned, and I think it's worth noting as my final remark that President Trump, when asked about this, said that it's personal and it's being looked at very closely, and I just don't have anything more to say about it. So there you go, and thank you and good night. Well, thank you, thank you.